Clears her throat strongly. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our meeting. Mr. Weber, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Davakia, Mr. Fallis,
Present.
Mr. Smith,
Present.
Mr. Sturgill,
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. Recognition of visitors. Welcome, everyone. And we would now entertain our first hearing of the public. At this stage, could I have approve or amend the signed minutes from regular board meeting held on July 21st, 2014?
Motion to approve the minutes of July 2014.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Fallis,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes. Any old business, gentlemen? And now we move on to the report and recommendations of the treasurer, Mr. Weber.
Thank you, sir. Two items on the docket this evening. The first one is to consider approval of the appointment of the delegate and alternate to the OSBA Capital Conference in November. So I need to have a delegate and alternate, and then a motion in a second to approve that. And item two would be, should the board decide to go there, would be to approve expenses not to exceed $5,500 in total for that capital conference. So we'll take them
Not per board member,
total, not per board member, that's correct. Item one would be a delegate and alternate, and then a motion, second, to vote.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Fallis as the delegate and Mr. Damakia as the alternate.
Okay, anything else with that? Motion, so I need a second then?
I don't think you need a second, do you?
That was the motion, I thought, to do the,
You don't for officers. Well, I'll second it.
Okay.
Make it.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Fallis,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item two is to consider approval of the expenses not to exceed $5,500 total for all board members who wish to attend at a conference.
Motion to approve financial matters, item 2.
Second.
Discussion?
That does require submission of receipts, correct?
Correct, absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Saying that for clarification.
Right.
Discussion? Additional? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. And one more, just two more notes. You'll see in Mr. Tucker's agenda that we've, on the board to hire the executive secretary position, Sharon Turner, who's item C. Mr. Tucker will get that in a few seconds. And the other thing is, we get to the board meetings in September, we'll talk about changing the board meeting date in September to accommodate a couple things. So that'll, little bit later on this evening.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
At this time, Mr. Tucker, report and recommendations from the superintendent.
First report I'd like to say is in the past, a number of different organizations around town have had what they've called a stuff the bus to collect things for our children to get to start school. Well, this year, we put together, and some of the organizations have put together a total citywide organization. Dave Hall has been leading that, and Dave Hall would be here to present that, except Dave Hall is at a meeting at City Hall right now for the heroin task force that you've read about in the paper, because we're also cooperating with that. But what this is changed into is what we call Fill the Bus, and we are joining with a number of other organizations, and we have a brochure that'll be going out to show what people can donate, tissues, pencils, those type of things. And this will be advertised, but I just want to announce to the board that we're going to do it for a week of August 11th through the 15th. The way it's going to work is each day for either a morning time or an afternoon time, such as August 11th from 9 to 12, the bus will be located at Longfellow on the east side of town. August 12th from 3 to 6, it'll be at the Boys and Girls Club on the south side of town. August 13th, 9 through 12, it'll be at the Horizon Education Building on Colorado Avenue on the east side of town. August 14th from 3 to 6, it'll be at Annex and Credit Recovery on the south side of town. And August 15th, 9 through 12, it'll be at General Johnny Wilson. And those will all be published, and if people would like to donate or business would like to donate, they come up to the bus and put things in, and those are distributed to Lorain City School children throughout the year. So that's just an announcement we want to make.
Are cash donations accepted too?
That's a question for Dr. Hall. I'm sure we would find a way to accept those and get receipts for those and get them donated so we could purchase supplies,
Sure.
because we do take
Sure.
that for uniforms for our
Mhm.
students also. Okay, under recommendations of the superintendent. Personnel matters A, item 1, we have a resignation. We're sorry to see Carrie go, but I was contacted by another superintendent, the superintendent of Columbia, and she was hired as a curriculum person over there, so we wish her the best. Item B, support staff discontinuances as listed. Item 2, new appointments. We have under A, administrators, another substitute administrator, which we can always use, and B, a lot of tutors that we hire on a regular basis, and C, support staff as listed. Item 3, consider leave of absences as listed. Item 4, we're starting all the fall supplementals, and you can see there A for certified, B for non-certified. And 5, consider miscellaneous actions for the independent contractors for our TV 20 announcers. So at this time, I'd like approval of personnel matters A, items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Motion to approve personal matters, items 1 through 5 inclusive.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
So I have one
Sorry.
question. Considering the mess that City Hall is in regarding failure to properly report wages for non-employees, they owe the IRS a ton of money. Do you have something in place? I seek independent contractors. So we would issue them 1099 miscellaneous?
Absolutely.
David can address that.
Absolutely, we do
Well, that's
that.
what I'm asking.
Absolutely
our
do.
treasurer.
And we have the vendor contract, we just reviewed with our board of trimmers, our GRD, to make sure we short a couple of things in there. Last couple of years, we reviewed every year for changing laws and whatnot.
Okay.
We think we're in good shape.
Okay, because if you should have reported something and didn't,
Right.
you get to pay the tax.
Right.
That's correct.
Unless they did.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, thank you.
That also deals with if they're under, could be STRS, PERS, or SERS.
Yes.
We've also
Right.
made a lot of changes to make sure we're covered on that also.
Right.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
good.
Specifically, I have a follow-up question on that. Do we have a program or institute sending out W-9s to our vendors in order to verify their taxpayer identification number, whether they're subject to back withholding?
Yes, we do. Right. Yes, we do. There's a
Okay.
whole process for that, for new vendors too.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you, Dale.
Any other discussion, gentlemen? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes,
and Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Under personnel matters, item 6, miscellaneous actions. These are the payment schedules for the people that work those particular items for the year. And item 7 is approval of the LAA contract for the following 3 years. Please note that contract is 000, and there is a reopener in that, just like there is for the LEA, but not until October, but it is 000. So I ask for approval of personnel matters, item 6 and item 7.
Discussion, gentlemen?
who made the motion?
What your motion?
Pardon?
Motion to approve items 6 and 7.
Is there support?
Support motion.
Thank you. Discussion?
I just want to point out to my fellow board members, and since we have a member of the Distress Commission with us tonight, which is great, the section of the Ohio Revised Code that created this Distress Commission clearly states that boards are not to enter into any contracts that would somehow interfere with the work of the commission. I'm not going to use the fancy legal words. As I told Mr. Tucker earlier, it looks like it was written by a law firm that was the favorite law firm of Larry Curley and Moe, which was Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. But, so when we vote for this, there could be liability. Because if, in fact, the commission decides something in there is not going to be what they want, and the law goes on to say, then that shall be set aside, and the powers, the authority originally granted to the board by the contract is taken away from the board by the contract, is restored. Which to me means we could turn right around and say, good, we're still going to keep it in there. But one thing I'm sure of, if the commission is not a party to any contract, and under Ohio law, I believe, Ms. Gotchling, only parties to a contract can approve changes, amendments. Isn't that correct?
In a typical scenario, yes.
Yes. I'm glad we got you on tape for that. But, so there could be some liability. I don't know that there will be. But if there is a dispute about this and a lawsuit is filed, it's going to be us that sued, not the commission, because they were not party to the contract. Just that, I'm going to support it. It's not, we need to know there are certain things that we are supposed to be doing. It's never been proven in court, but that held up in court, but that's all.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. But I want to add, just for clarity, because I'm not arguing or debating Mr. Smith, because there's a lot of potential truth to that, and hopefully we never cross that bridge. But this contract was negotiated in our traditional sense. This was negotiated with our superintendent and legal counsel.
I understand that.
And I just want to make sure, because again, sometimes people hear these things and they get a little confused. The commission was not negotiating this contract. We have been kept up to speed through executive session, the updates, the ongoing advancement of the contract. When we came to stalemates, we became aware. But also, I would like to compliment Mr. Tucker, staff, and our legal counsel, because we went from what was a 44-page document, I believe, down to about a 14-page document.
That's correct.
With exceedingly more clarity, with significantly more opportunity for even the board to understand and everyone to be able to see clearly what's what. So I would say that if the commission's presence contributed to that, good for us. But this was the negotiation and the leadership of what would be that union, but most importantly, our administrative staff that negotiates all of our contracts. So I just want the community to know that this was negotiated by the board. It is a contract that is with the board, and that has not been compromised. Is that accurate, Mr. Tucker?
That's correct. Commission was also abreast of everything that went
Yes.
on. This was, it's called 4117 collective bargaining law in Ohio, and that's how it works.
But the commission also passed a resolution directing the board from putting certain language in the contract. I have it right here if you want to read it.
I believe it says it directed not to, it's kind of a, not a
Yeah.
straight direction, but
Yes.
highly encouraged.
Yes.
And we do, again, we appreciate the cooperative working between the board and the commission, because ultimately, that's what we need to do to advance the district in the direction that we are headed. And so, thank you for all of those who contribute to this process. And are there any more comments, gentlemen? So then, Mr. Weber, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Mr. Fallis,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes?
and Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
Has the LAA voted on this yet, or?
Yes, 2 weeks ago, 9 days ago, 8 days ago. Yes, they approved it. It's approved.
Whether, was it unanimous, or?
They don't have to share that.
Okay.
They're not subject to public records law.
Okay,
We
thank
are.
you. It's fine.
Okay, move on.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
Operation Matters B. Item 8, approval of contract with Ohio Schools Council. This is an annual approval. This is actually Mr. Zelli. Dr. Zelli's in charge of this organization. This gives us the opportunity to get the lowest cost for many items for that, because it's a cooperative with many, many school districts for purchases. Item 9, enter approval to enter contract with Rogers High School for reimbursement of expenses for an athletic event. Item 10, consider approval to enter a contract with Best Tool for rental of storage for the career tech supplies. This will be the last year for that. They're still there. Now that our warehouse is up and running, or going to be up and running, those things will be moved. This also has to do with our new high school, when we move that in, for all those things in there have them being stored properly. Item 11, enter a contract with the Dyack County Schools ESC for orientation and mobility services for sped ed. This is an annual contract. Consider approval to enter a contract with Computers in Education for PD for Procore. That's an assessment tool that we're using for items 2 through 12. This will also be part of the OTES value added for the teachers in those areas that are not part of the state value added. Item 13 and item 14, this is our third year entering with Silver and Strong and Associates for services. We have been doing that at the high school level, and we are now, or at the high school, junior high level, we are now going to be utilizing Silver and Strong for some of our instructional practices at the elementary level. And item 15, entered a contract with the Northwest Evaluation Services, and this is part of their PD, and this is a 2A grant, and this is for services delivered for the coming year. So as for approval of operation matters B, items 8 through items 15.
Motion to approve operational matters, items 8 through 15.
Second.
Roll call, discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis,
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes.
That concludes my report and recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Is there any new business for discussion, gentlemen? Community reports, requests from board members.
I just have a couple of announcements, if I might. To remind everybody that on August 17th, the LHS, that would not be Lorain High School, that would be the Lorain Historical Society, is having the opening of their Carnegie Library facility. I believe, Kathy, it's $5 for ice cream and tour, right? 2 to 4? I think it's 2 to 4 at Streeter Park, and I'm anxious to get there to see how it's going to be beautiful. It's just fantastic. And we are now in the process, thanks to Barb and others over at the Society, of moving some historic pieces of property into our new warehouse. And those properties are the 1914 Cornerstone from Lorain High School and the bells. One I know I'm pretty sure is from Fairholme.
Yes.
I don't know where the other bell is from. It's painted white and blue and
Hawthorne, I
red.
believe.
Is it Hawthorne?
Yep.
Okay. I thought we could do that, but it's a little more involved. It takes
Those
heavy equipment. which we
Cornerstone
don't have,
needs
so.
equipment to move.
And so I hope you'll all, if you're free, you're down there that day. I do have, based on an email we got this morning from an area law firm, when do you think we'll start seeing some of the policies that are required to meet the new legislative? Do you know?
OSBA usually sends their update up in late August, early September, because the regulations are just coming out. As soon as they get those, then we have the policy committee meeting, which is already scheduled, I believe, second or third week of September is the date. So as soon as OSBA sends their updates, we'll go through the process.
Okay, thank you.
Then those will be lengthy
Yes.
for all school districts in the state of Ohio.
Lucky us. Lucky us.
I've got one announcement on athletics that I wanted to mention, that for football, we have between 100 and 110 students out. It's an exceptionally large number. I know that right now 41 of those are freshmen, which again, considering we didn't have a freshman football team last year, that it's an excellent number, and it's nice participation by the student athletes in the community.
And they're coming regularly when they have their physicals and they're set to go. That's exciting.
Yay.
Nice picture on Bandcamp in the paper.
That was a wonderful picture on Bandcamp. I love those Bandcamp things.
You go?
Go Titans.
Can I sneak in?
Not yet,
Bandcamp.
not yet. OH.
Sorry, I'm allowed to do that. I'm,
Just remember, as you're reading all these stories about the Ohio State Band, et cetera, here's a former band member right here, so
Yes, and I had a nickname. And Mr. Tucker, whose
That was-
daughter,
Yes, I was Bowling Green State University.
but by default and by the investment of his
daughter was
money,
in 5
he
years.
is now an Ohio State alumni also. Yeah.
Yes, I
I
am.
should, I wanted, I've petitioned Kent State for a degree. All the money I
I've
gave him.
invested heavily into
Yeah.
Ohio State because of my daughter.
Go Bucks. Okay. We'll entertain a second hearing of the public at this time. If anyone would like to address the board, tell us off, tell jokes. No takers. All right, so we're at that stage now. We're going to announce the next board meeting, and I believe it's going to be
August 18th.
Yes, August 18th. But the other discussion was for September because of Labor Day. We need to offset our board meetings, and I think it's going to be recommended that we go with September 8th
and 22nd.
and 22nd
At 6:30.
at 6:30.
Well, both Mondays.
So, gentlemen, check your calendars, please. And if you don't respond back to Mr. Weber with a conflict, then by the end of the week, he will go ahead and make that announcement and publish it. But other than that, we will see everyone on August the 18th, 6:30 p.m. right here. And at this time, I need a motion for adjournment.
Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Fells?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Adjourned at
Good evening, everyone.
6:53.
This has been a production of Lorain City Schools TV 20 WLCS.
To purchase a high-quality copy of the program you just viewed, please call Lorain City Schools Television at 282-8400.